Right, so now I want to move to haplodiploidy. Why? If you look across the lineages of the major lineages within which you get eusociality, most of them, with the exception of termites, are haplodiploid. What do I mean by haplodiploid? Domino went over it in sex determination, but I'll just briefly describe it here. It's where the females are diploid and the males are haploid. So there's only one set of alleles in males. Why does this affect social evolution? Well, let's go over it. So it's one set of alleles in males. So if you imagine the relationship between, the relatedness between a focal female, let's take this female here as a worker. Oh, hang on. Yes, this focal female as a worker, and think about her relatedness to her brother. She's got, going back here, you've got a mother will be 0.5 related to each of her offspring, because each of her offspring carry one of the possible two sets of alleles. But then a father is 100% related to his offspring, because he's only got one set of alleles to give. Okay, so hold that in your head, and we will consider the relatedness between a female worker and her brothers. So she is 50% related to her mother, who is 50% related to her son. And there's no relationship whatsoever through the father. So a given worker is 0.25 related to her brothers. Now consider the relationship between, we'll start again, and we will consider the relationship between sisters. So a given sister is 0.5 related to her mother, who is 0.5 related to her female offspring. So far, so good. But then that given sister is 0.5 related to her father, but her father only has one set of alleles to give any potential daughter. So her father is 100% related to to all his daughters. If you do the maths and add that up, 0.5 multiplied by 0.5 plus 0.5 times 1 is 0.75. So sister wasps, sister bees and sister ants are related by 3/4 to each other. Not 0.5, which is the normal diploid full sibling relationship, but 0.75. So female workers, think about it, are more related to sisters than they would be to their own offspring if they produced them. And so all of those calculations in Hamilton's rule are therefore weighted to predispose female workers to help the queen produce more sisters rather than offspring. So Hamilton suggested that this is a reason why haplodiploid organisms might be predisposed to be social, because they gain more relatedness from sisters than they do from offspring. And therefore, haplodiploidy predisposes a lineage to be social. Or does it? So this stood for several decades before somebody came along and pointed out what might be wrong with this. So I'm going to add a qualification here. This is a singly mated mother. This is one reason why this is not true. If you have a singly mated mother, then all of this is true, potentially. If you know that your father is also the father of the sister that you're trying to help, then your relatedness is 0.75. But if you assume that the mother is not quite so faithful, then if she's mated twice, then your average relatedness to your sisters is less. And if she's mated 3 times, then the average relatedness is even less and even less and even less, until you are absolutely sure that your sisters are half-sisters, they all don't share a father. In which case, you're related by 0.375 to your sisters. Here, this graphically shows the same thing. The number of times the queen has mated versus the relatedness on average to your colony mate, your female colony mates. It asymptotes towards 0.375. So in fact, your own offspring, of course, will you be related by 0.5, which is here. So in fact, the queen has to mate only about 2 to 3 times before you favour your own offspring over the queen's offspring. So that's one reason why we don't think that haplodiploidy predisposes you to sociality. But even if that were not the case, even if queens were all singly mated, it still wouldn't predispose you towards sociality. And the reason is because, this is going to take a bit of explanation, so deep breath. Imagine a situation where in your colony you're related by 0.75 to your sisters and 0.25 to your brothers. That's your reproductive sisters and reproductive brothers. That is the case if queens are definitely singly mated. So you go about helping sisters more than brothers, and you help your queen produce a shitload of sisters and not very many brothers. Other colonies in the population are all doing the same thing. Other colonies that provide potential mates for these males and mates for these females are doing the same thing. They're pumping out sisters at a rate of knots, and brothers are less common. Imagine the kind of time that these individuals, these males and females, are going to have finding a mate. Imagine how easy it is going to be for them to find a mate. Go away, you stupid little bottom bar. As the sex ratio becomes more female biased in the general population, those females are going to lose reproductive value because mates are going to be harder to find for them. There's going to be fewer males to go around for them to mate with. So each one of them, like more and more of those females are going to be going mateless. And if they go mateless, then they're worth nothing to you as a female deciding whom to help produce. So as the sex ratio gets more and more female biased, like fewer and fewer females mate. The mating success of those males is going to be dramatically increased because they can find tons and tons of females to mate with. The mating success of each female is going to be decreased because there's fewer and fewer males to go around. Eventually, there's going to be a sex ratio reached at which the value of males is sufficiently elevated to balance out the value of females. What is that sex ratio? Eventually, you reach a sex ratio where mating success balances the relatedness asymmetry. That sex ratio is 3 to 1. 3 females to 1 male. And at that point, males and females are again equally valuable to the workers. And at that point, there's no particular male and female are now of equal value again, and there's no particular advantage towards helping at all. So in that case, haplodiploidy does not favour helping, even if your female is singly mated. What it does mean, though, one thing it does predict really strongly is that the workers would prefer the queen to produce a 3 to 1 sex ratio of females to males, right? And that sets the stage for a really interesting conflict, because the workers want the queen, the workers want to pump out 3 females for each male reproductive. The queen is equally related to all of her offspring, and she would like the ratio to be 1 to 1. So who wins? There's a really intriguing, interesting conflict there.